Now that you're here, let's talk about Jussie Smollett, because you've been talking about this case on a daily basis.
Yes. Well, look, it's the one that pisses me off the most. It's the one that, look, certain things make me mad. When I see pineapple on pizza, it makes me very mad. That's a very triggering thing for me, right? When I go, very reasonable. When I go to get Italian food here and they give you pickles, that also makes me kind of mad. But Jussie, as I always call him Juicy, because Juicy Smooth, because the Chappelle skit. I don't know if you ever saw that one.
I didn't, but I saw you talking about it on one of your live
Google
streams.
it right. You know what? Right now, put yourself on mute. Go watch that video, Legalbytes, and then come back, and I will just be talking to the chat until then.
I'll leave my channel to you.
I'll take over your stream. It's fine.
All right. Well,
but literally, the reason why this one, look, to me, it's something that is so bad, is so abhorrent, that I believe that the punishment should be much more severe than even what's at stake here, right? Because what's at stake here is actually disorderly conduct, frankly, for lying for the police. And this case, in case you guys have forgotten, in case you guys, it's going back in history, because this happened, at this point years ago, right? But Jussie Smollett, right? He faked, essentially, and this is why he's at trial right now, because over a faked racist attack, right? He claimed that two people beat him up, right? Yelling racist and homophobic slurs, including the famous line, "This is MAGA country," right? Referencing MAGA being Make America Great Again. And this was when then President Donald Trump was in office campaigning for re-election, right? So this was part of that larger movement, right? To say, okay, we're anti-Donald Trump. We're going to vote against Trump. This next election cycle, we're going to go against Trump, because everybody who supports him is racist and is a bigot, is whatever, right? And apparently this attack occurred at 2 a.m. While he was getting Subway in Chicago, downtown Chicago. And not only that, but it was revealed that the people who did it were actually two Nigerian brothers. We all know Nigerians, the most racist people out there, the most homophobic people out there. Absolutely horrible. It's going on right now. And the defense for Jussie has been that actually, what happened was he's still the victim, right? He's still the victim because these two Nigerians are sophisticated criminals, right? Which, frankly, I've even viewed as racist in and of itself, because I feel like it's playing off that Nigerian criminal stereotype, right? What are you trying to say? They're Nigerians and therefore they're criminal, right? And it's just at trial, there's more and more facts coming out that are showing that he's not credible. The detectives testifying are saying, just how the procedures, everything involved here just points towards him setting it up. He's the only guy, and some of these detectives testified to this. One predicate here is that this is not televised, not because it's federal court. This is not Maxwell, right? This is not, some other federal case. This is still a state case. However, celebrities have a right to publicity, right? And almost all states have incorporated this. And because his image could get put out there, and God forbid his image, his voice, his face get out without him being able to drift off that and being able to market that. Because of that, they're not showing any of this trial. They're not televised.
Hey, don't knock the grift, man.
I love the grift. Don't get me wrong. Why am I here? Come on. Me, I'm with you and Nate. You guys are the professional grifters, but that's why I love you guys. So
amen to that, brother.
So that's exactly why we're here. And we're just hearing the story where he's coming out, painting himself as a victim of these two guys. And it's coming out that, no, this is something that he filmed, this is something he rehearsed. Testimony is coming out that he had a dress rehearsal for this. There's video of him going by the exact spot of the attack with the brothers, pointing to the camera, right? Not turning over his phone, right? He's one of the few that did not turn over his phone. And when he did turn over text messages, they were heavily redacted, right? He also didn't turn over his full medical records. So there's all this information that was held out, and it's just why? The only reason that seems to make sense is because this is an artificial incident, which I think was the conclusion most people came to. What I get worked up about is not whether I think it's guilty or innocent, because I think there's guilt in this case. What I get worked up about is that I think the punishment needs to be something more than what they're predicting, which is a slap on the wrist and community service. I think there needs to be some time on this because this is something that's abhorrent. And even the judge said, the most abhorrent thing about this is that he used the noose, right? Because he knew the power of that tool. He knew that you bring out the noose, like that's a strong signal, right? But doing that is just so culpable. And I think to prevent copycats, to prevent other incidents, to prevent anything happening like this, and to show that our justice system does not support this, I think that the punishment should be more than just a slap on the wrist. That's my position. I get worked up about that. But these brothers, they're on the stand right now. They're being cross-examined today. So far, it seems like they're credible witnesses. There isn't anything fundamentally flawed in their testimony. The defense hasn't been able to pick them apart yet. So that's where we're at the trial. It's still going on right now.
Nate,
wow,
how are you?
I came in at a very I came in at an interesting point. You're like, oh Lord, who are you talking about?
You missed the part when he turned into a Tasmanian devil and just started taking everything down.
It's a spinning chair, so this will actually work.
I think one of the in the Jussie Smollett case, one thing I'm going to say is that the legal issue here is so incredible about the double jeopardy issue. So remember when he was arrested before, and they said all this stuff, and then they dismissed the charges, and he paid the $10,000. He gave out the $10,000 bail or whatever, and then his lawyers were going out saying, well, he was not innocent, right? He was not. He was innocent. His lawyers are going out there. He's innocent. He was never charged. They dismissed the cases. All this stuff. One thing I found that because they did what's known as decline of prosecution. We call it the DP here in New York, decline of prosecute. So the police arrest you, and instead of charging you with the crime, they say, all right, we're going to decline to prosecute, meaning that you were never in jeopardy of having a criminal prosecution. You're declined to prosecute. And when they did that for him, he gave up his bond for the DP. But then when they recharged him, he was saying, well, hold on, I was prosecuted before. And the judge was like, well, no, you weren't prosecuted before because they declined to prosecute. So now they're saying, well, that declination of prosecution didn't prevent them from prosecuting you in the future. They're just saying, we're not prosecuting you now. So that's why the double jeopardy thing is not an issue in this case as of right now, even though the defense is trying to really make it a big issue. But it's the fact that he got that preferential treatment is the reason why he's in the case that he's at now. So it just shows you sometimes, you think something is so great, but at the back end, it screws you at the end. So now he's doing a trial because he got, because Kim, what's her name? Kim Potter? No, not Kim Potter. Whatever.
No, Kim Potter's the other trial.
Yeah,
I forget. All I remember was that the original prosecutor, I remember that like Michelle Obama was intervening on that point, right? And even Kamala was speaking up about it at that point. And they had to eventually bring in the special prosecutor in order to actually bring the charges.
Yes.
So, ultimately this was so, and come on, it's Chicago. So, of course they got to bring in a pinch hitter, for this.
A lot of people kept asking me, I did the whole tweet about, Kamala Harris, her thing about oh, he's such a great guy, he's my friend, and all the liberals, right after it happened. And so a lot of people kept coming to me like, yo, Nate, I want to ask you, what did you say when you first heard it? You weren't outraged? And I'm going to tell you, people, I'm going to go on record right now. When I first heard the Jussie Smollett case, I remember sitting there watching my wife, and my wife was all outraged. Oh my God, can you believe it? First thing I said was, 2 white guys in the middle of Chicago and 2 o'clock at night with rope and bleach? What the hell? Who does that?
It just seems a little too on the nose, right?
And Subway,
in minus in 20-degree weather, waiting 4 hours for him. I'm like, yo, at least these guys were like either super dedicated to the cause, or and plus, and then when I found out that his plane was supposed to come in at 12 and got delayed by 2 hours, I'm like, something's just not right here, babe. This doesn't make any sense. It's just like 2 white guys with MAGA hats in the middle of the hood in Harlem wrestling me up, right? We found you, Nate. We found you. Those guys probably wouldn't make it down the block in the middle of the night. I'm like, come on, really? This doesn't make any sense. And from that point on, I was sympathetic. I was like, well, if this happened, then these people had to, number one, know what time he was going to be there, had been following his travel plans, had prepared. They had to be, this is not somewhere you just walk to, right? You had to be sitting out there for 4 hours with rope and bleach at 2 o'clock in the morning in Chicago
and a MAGA hat
and sub-freezing weather. Yeah. It's just like, it just didn't add up. And then when eventually the dominoes rolled, my wife was like, "Oh, so you all right?" I was like, "Yeah," because the first thing you're going to say is, who the hell, two white guys in the middle of the hood in Chicago? That just doesn't make any sense, right? In the middle of the night. But I think what happens is, the problem is that I think the problem on the other side was, why would a successful actor at the peak of his career, right? This guy's at the peak of his career. Why would he do this?
Hubris.
Well, he was in the middle of contract negotiations. That was one of the things. So apparently there were contract negotiations that he was in the middle of, and this was something that takes you from one level up to the next level in terms of your publicity and where you're at, right? So he would be up to like Kaepernick level grifting, right? At that level, right? So I mean, and this was in the era of Kaepernick. So I'm just saying.